Sente, I know maybe not the way you wanted, but co-main event, pay-per-view, I mean, does it feel like a bigger fight when you get a position like that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's not the way I wanted it, but I'm grateful anyway, get this opportunity. And yeah, it makes it more fun, more people are going to be watching, more eyes on me, and I can, go out there, do what I do, have a great fight, and it's going to be fun for sure.
What did you think when they offered you this fight, right? Because Tyron Woodley, a former champion, of course, but he's had those losses, right? So people are saying, oh, maybe he's not that great anymore. So when they offered you this fight, did it excite you, or did you think, people are going to say, oh, you beat a guy that's not that good?
Man, it definitely excited me. Fighting a former champion, it's always exciting. It's definitely the highest level opponent I'm going to face till this day. And, he's coming off 3 losses, but he lost to the 3 best in the world. That's not like, a big thing. Not in my book, at least. I still think he's dangerous. I think that he's going to be hungry to get back to the winning column, And I'm going to be ready for the best Woodley ever, the Woodley that used to be the champion, go out there and knock everybody out. That's the Woodley I imagine I'm going to be facing. And, yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited and pumped for this fight.
I was going to say, when you watch the tape on him, I mean, as you said, he lost to 1, 2, and 3 in the world. That's really not that bad. So do you think people are making too much of that and maybe devaluing where he stands a little too much?
Yeah, I mean, I think people always expect us to be the same forever, and I mean, you cannot be, not everybody is going to be the champion forever, or you're either going to lose that title or you're going to retire. It's one of the 2 options. So I think that when you leave that status, when you're not the champion anymore, people like to talk about it. They like to say you're not the same guy. They don't realize that the rest of the division is improving, is getting better, is studying that guy, and maybe they found something out and found a way to beat him, but it's not because he is not the same anymore, just people learn and get better. Yeah. So, I think he's still a dangerous guy, and that's what I'm going to be looking at for sure.
Does it feel like a big moment for you in your career? You know what I mean? Like, obviously the hardcores have known who you are, and you've been kind of just below the surface, but you beat a former champion, co-main event, pay-per-view, like you said. Does this feel like maybe kind of that breakout moment for you?
Definitely it does. I do feel it is a different energy in a way, in the sense that I know people are going to have more eyes on me, and I know what I'm capable of doing. I know that people, and the real hardcore fans, they know who I am. They know my style, and that's what everybody's going to get to watch Saturday night. And, yeah, I think it's going to be a great night for me.
Nice. Last thing for me, I mean, obviously you're not looking past this fight, but the welterweight division is kind of interesting right now, right? So what do you think makes sense for you? I mean, is there a fight that you're looking for? Because, you have the history with Leon, you have the history with Wonder Boy. They're kind of right up there as well in that second tier. So what do you think makes sense for you moving forward?
I mean, first of all, it's focus on this fight. I got to get a big win over Woodley. But I believe a big win over a former champion guarantees me a chance at the top 5, at getting somebody in that mix. And from there, I mean, I got a lot of options. Those 2 rematches are rematches that interest me a lot. And you got other names. You got Kobe. You got other guys that are there. And honestly, I want to fight any of them. Anybody in the top 5 after this. But right now, I got to beat Woodley first to earn that shot.
Right here. You fought on one of his cards before. I think it was UFC 205. Did you have any interactions backstage between you and Tyron? Like, did you bump into each other and chat at all?
Yeah, when I fought in 205, we were, I think both of us were red corner, so we were kind of in the same bus and everything. And I remember when we were going to weigh-ins, I kind of we had like some special things for that UFC that were from New York, and I was using the boxing boots that they gave me, and Tyron said, oh, that's looking dope and whatever. And I was like, man, the champion talked to me. That's awesome, He knows who I am, and he called me by my name. And I remember that was kind of like a big moment for me then. And now to be fighting him, it's an honor, man. I have always admired his style and the way that he was a great champion. And now I get to go out there and mix it up with him. It's going to be, something that I've always dreamed of, and it's going to be great.
Well, since you sound like you've been a big fan of Tyron for the majority of your career, is it frustrating as all watching his previous fights? Like, you know what he can do, but he finds himself kind of stuck on the fence, and he's not really throwing punches. A lot of people are wondering why he's not moving forward. So, as a fan of the man as a fighter, was it frustrating to watch those last few fights?
Maybe the last one against Kobe. The other two, not so much, because Kamaru and Gilbert were both my training partners. I was cornering Gilbert for that fight, so in a way, I was, on their side. But yeah, it's hard to see maybe his style not work so well against them. I don't know why it was. Maybe these guys have like something different that he didn't feel comfortable with. But yeah, I mean, if I like looking at my style, I know that I hit hard. I know that I can be aggressive. That's what I would do if I were in his place. But at the same time, we never know. Like, I'm not in his shoes. I don't know what he's going through. So, yeah, I can't say much about that.
And then being in the corner for two of those fights and then watching the Colby one, did you see tendencies in in those three fights that you can, without giving anything away, obviously, that you can take advantage of?
I think the pressure, all these guys pressured him, and that's something natural for me. I pressure my opponents every single fight. I walk forward. I try to, be in their face, try to hurt them every single minute I'm in there. And I think that's something that it's hard for him to deal with. In moments, in these three fights, he didn't deal with the pressure so well. And with me, I mean, I'm going to pressure him. So if he can handle it, it's going to be fight of the night. If not, I think I can get a finish.
What do you make of the booking between Usman and Masvidal, the rematch? A lot of people, I think, were expecting other names like maybe Wonder Boy or Leon, but they went with the rematch. What do you think about that?
Man, I don't agree with it so much. I think that Masvidal, that was his last fight against Usman, so I don't see it so interesting. But we never know. He's gonna have a full training camp, as he said. In my opinion, it's not gonna change that much because Kamaru is a dominant champion. And, he can impose his will against Masvidal like he did the first time. But we never know. We'll see. I love Masvidal's style. I think it would be a better matchup against other guys. I would like to see him maybe against Leon Edwards. That would be a fight and that I would be interested. And myself, I would love to fight Masvidal. I think that would be, a banger of a fight. But we're going to have that fight, and it's going to move the division. That's something good because past that, we can see what's going to go on.
And one final one. Outside of Usman, pretty much no one in the top five has fought in each other. They're all kind of trying to get that top fight, and they're all kind of circling each other. So is just staying active and being one of these few welterweights that keeps fighting the most important thing moving forward?
For sure. I think that activity is a big thing. People remember who you are, remember your style. They want to watch you fight. Leon Edwards is an example. He wasn't active for a long time. And now he came back and have that unfortunate, fight, the way that it ended, and it didn't do much for him, And fans are kind of like, okay, what goes on now? Have that rematch or fight somebody else? It's the kind of thing that when you're not active, people don't, you're not that relevant anymore. Even though you're coming off many wins and in a good moment. You got to fight. You got to fight so people watch you and people want to see you challenge for a title or something like that. And that's definitely been important for me. Okay, thanks.
the return of the undefeated Sean O'Malley. We're certainly happy to have you here. How's it feel to be back on the fight week?
Feels fucking good.
You know, it absolutely drives people mad when you refer to yourself as undefeated. I mean, it just literally makes people go crazy. Is that part of the fun in saying that, a part of the reason you like to keep throwing it out there?
I've been asked this question so many times, but it's that, you know, they ask me how I feel, whatever. I say I feel undefeated. I don't feel like I was beat because my skill set wasn't as good as his. You know, it was a freak accident. How many leg kicks have been thrown since that kick to now, and how many times has that happened? You know, so you can't. If he would have said I'm gonna go in there and kick his nerve, and that happened, I'd be like, damn, this motherfucker's good. And he is good. Cheeto's good opponent. But I think the way that fight ended, and watching the fight before that happened, I was in control of that fight. I was doing what I wanted. You know, he didn't take me down and elbow me. My leg completely gave out. I rolled my ankle 4 or 5 times, and I was still piecing him up on the feet. I backed him down, had him covered up, and I went to step back, and my ankle gave out. So, you know, if he would have beat me in a decision or just beat me in any other way than me getting injured, I would say I'm 12-1, no issue. I don't have a problem with losing. I lose in the gym all the time. You know, get up, slap hands, compete again. I don't mind losing. You know, one of these days I'm going to lose a fight, hopefully not in that kind of fashion, and it's going to be like, yeah, he beat me. I have no issue losing. You know, I think the whole 12-1, undefeated, mentally undefeated thing has gotten a little crazy, but I do kind of enjoy when people get mad at it now, but also it's just I just answer the questions you guys ask.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, do you think people are being a little unfair? I mean, I think about this game, so much of it is self-belief and mental confidence. You know, if that's the mindset you have to have going in there, that's the mindset you have to have, right? I mean, do you think people are kind of unfairly jumping at you when you do answer that question?
Yeah, I don't think it's the mindset I have to have. Like I said, if he would have beat me if he would have beat me any other way, and I'm 12-1 going into this fight against Thomas, I would sit here and say, yeah, I'm 12-1 coming off a loss, and it doesn't really change my mindset. I'm prepared very well to go in there against Thomas and beat his ass. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm 12-1 or 12-0. It doesn't matter what happened last fight. It matters what happened in this training camp. This last 8 weeks, I prepared, I'm healthy, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Last thing I want to ask you about Cheeto is that this thing has gone on, talked about for so long. I know at some point you said, I don't really need to fight him again, but the way this thing has continued on, do you feel like this is a rematch that has to happen? Like, I think people just want to see it.
I know he said there's not enough money in the world to fight me. You know, it just sounds stupid. Like, it's not like that dude's loaded. You know, offer him $100,000 or $500,000 to fight, he's gonna say no. I mean, that would be. Are you scared? I don't know. But will it happen? I don't know. The division's on fire right now. I'm gonna be coming off a win. He's gonna be coming off a loss. I don't care who. So, you know, I'm gonna be champ. And if he climbs his way up, I think that rematch will be there. But other than that, it doesn't even matter. I'm focused on Thomas.
Yeah, like you said, it matters what's happening here. Thomas Almeida, they gave you that name. A guy that not that long ago people were saying, hey, man, title challenger, you know, and he's had some setbacks. What did you think when you got the name? Did it excite you, or were you thinking, you know, I'd like somebody a little higher up?
No, I was excited about that fight. He's a good kickboxer. His last 3 fights, he's lost to good people, like really good guys. So it's, you know, I think he's a legitimate opponent. I think looking at it from that perspective, saying, he's coming off 3 losses, like, you know, he's still a dangerous opponent, and he's coming off 3 losses, which might make him more dangerous. You know, this could be, you know, he might go to Bellator after this or go somewhere else. I might send him on his way out. So he's going to be coming ready to go. So, no, this is a good fight, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah. First training camp for you as a dad, did that change anything, whether it be just, you know, your daily routine, obviously, or, you know, mentally, you know, the psychological changes that come along with fatherhood?
I slept in the other room a couple times, like 2 or 3 nights. That's about it. Other than that, nothing really. Danny, she was pretty much been a stay-at-home mom, works a couple days a week, so she's been, you know, when I go train, it's been good. It hasn't been worse or better. It's been good. Waking up every morning to her, you know, waking up to a baby. She's trying to suck on her big toe like it's her thumb. It's just, you know, you're in a good mood the instant you wake up. So it's been good in that aspect. As far as training, it hasn't been like an issue. I had a great camp. You know, I have a cage at my house now in my garage, so it's nice to be able to train there, train at the lab where I get really good training, train at Tim's gym, Tanquino's gym. You know, nothing changed in the aspect of having a baby.
Nice. last thing for me, and I mean, obviously you want to go out there and you want to win, but I'm just curious kind of what your goal is here because, you know, when you came into the sport, you had so much attention right away. And after this last one, man, I feel like people have turned on you a little bit. You know, you've had to deal with some hate, which I don't think you're used to. So, I mean, do you want to go out there and, like, silence these people and shut all these people up, or do you even focus on things like that?
Yeah, I definitely have gotten a lot of hate. I still get so much, like, every time I go live on Twitch, there's clown emotes, like, people call me a clown and stuff. So, yeah, I wasn't really used to dealing with too much hate. But I also know, like, the people that are doing that, like, they're probably dealing with some stuff mentally. You know, there's not anybody that's doing real good in life that's coming on there talking shit. So, it hasn't really affected me too much, but it would be nice to go out there and prove the stupid people that they are stupid, that I'm, you know, I think people that are intelligent and understand skills look at me and see what I've done and go, he's legitimate, he's got legit skills. And then there's some people that think, you know, that the last couple fights may have been lucky against Eddie, Jose, not lucky, but just, you know, that happens, but, you know, I think I'm a high-level striker, high-level MMA fighter, and I get to go prove that, so.
Sean, how much of the undefeated thing you've been saying is that you genuinely believe it, which I believe you do, and how much of it was steering into it knowing how much it was annoying people?
No, I mean, people are always like, be yourself. So I was just being myself. How do I feel? 12-0, I didn't feel, you know, so it was like just being myself. And yeah, I didn't think it was going to get as much attention as it got, but.
What was it like when you did, I think you did the podcast maybe the day after, a couple of days after. What was it like seeing the vitriol and reaction to that? Because even from an outsider looking at it, it was pretty impressive amounts.
Yeah, I got, as far as the hate or
yeah.
what? Yeah. Like I said, I still get messages and stuff. So, but I think no matter what, I go out there and knock out Thomas, I'm still gonna get hate for the rest of my career. There's going to be haters. Usually that means you're doing something right. So I think we're on a good track.
Do you think fighters and opponents are going to look at that fight and think, well, I just have to go out there and kick him in the leg and that's the end of him?
Yeah, maybe. I think maybe stupid people. I don't know. I think Thomas is going to definitely come out and try to kick my legs. Like, I think that's kind of probably going to be part of his game. But I think it's going to matter how do I look this fight. He's going to kind of determine what other people's game plan is going to be.
Do you have a plan for checking that? Do you feel in yourself that there's a vulnerability there, or do you think that was literally just a freak accident that'll never happen again?
I had 14 amateur fights. I've had now 13 pro fights. I've had a lot of fights. You guys act like I've never been kicked in the leg before. I don't know how to check a kick. I was you either check a kick, stuff a kick, or get out of the way of a kick. I was getting out of the way, and his Ecuadorian big toe fucking hit my nerve. Like, I watched it so many times in slow motion. And I remember him saying after the fight, "Oh, I have the tough shins," and I was a calf kick. It wasn't a calf kick. His toe literally hit my nerve. And if it happens again, it'll be fucking crazy. Like, if that happens again ever in my career, that's gonna be crazy. So yeah, I think it was. I don't even remember what you asked. Sorry.
All right. Last thing for me. Obviously, you don't think about losing, but any temptation next time, if that happens, you can still say 12-2 undefeated.
If it happens again, maybe, yeah, that's a good question. If Thomas comes out and kicks me in the nerve and it ends like that, maybe I'll have to rethink my undefeated statement, but maybe I'll be 12-1 after that. No, I don't know. I don't see that happening again. How many times has it happened since my fight? None. How many times did it happen? It happened to Jamie Varner. It happened to Michael Chandler when he fought Brent Primus. And I think it happened to Henry when he fought Demetrius a little bit. But his came back. I was too busy trying to, take Cheeto's head off to let it come back. But yeah, it doesn't happen very often. If it happens again, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to be done fighting.
Thanks, man.
Sean, one last thing on leg kicks. We've also saw Conor McGregor kind of succumb to leg kicks in January, and the narrative after that, a lot of fighters were saying it's very difficult to even train leg kicks because you don't want to just start eating leg kicks before a fight. Is that true? Like, is it that difficult to train leg kicks ahead of a fight?
That calf kick's motherfucker. I've been kicked in the calf like 5 years ago by John Moraga, Yatsin, Meza. Like, the calf kick's been. I've known about it for a long time. Yeah, there's different ways. Like I said, you could. I mean, there is a way to check it. You could stuff it and counter with a 1-2, whatever. Pull out completely and not even be in the way of the kick, which is what I was doing with Cheeto. And that fucking toe got me. So yeah, I think. I mean, there's ways to defend it, but.
And then speaking specifically of this upcoming fight against Thomas, was there a fight that you remember he really got on your radar? I know a lot of people point to the UFC 189, the flying knee knockout against Brad Pickett, but there was at one point people had circled him as a possible champion down the line.
Yeah, I don't remember what fight I saw, but I don't even know if I wasn't in the UFC yet. It was pre-UFC, and I remember seeing him. I'm like, damn, that kid's fun to watch, and I was a fan. So I mean, he's kind of the first guy I'm fighting that I was a fan of before. You know, I wasn't like a huge fan. I wasn't like, oh my god, I have to follow him and watch every fight. But I watched him. I was like, he's got a sweet style. Like I really like his style. And now I have to go and beat him up, so it's pretty cool.
You mentioned he has the high-level kickboxing. He's obviously brings a high-level Muay Thai in there, but he's also a brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu. Have you seen anything in his grappling at all to show that he is high-level there?
I don't remember seeing him grapple much. Yeah, I don't remember seeing him grapple much, but I'm confident in the grappling aspect.
And finally, what do you make of the state of the division right now? There was that weird disqualification that happened a few weeks ago. We got a lot of main events coming up. So what's your thought on the top of the 135 division?
Yeah, the Bantamweight, hands down, right now, is the best division in the UFC, which is pretty fucking sweet. We got Corey versus TJ coming back. How is TJ going to look without EPO? We'll see. How is Rob Font versus Cody? I mean, there's just so many sweet fights. Aljo versus Peter's got to happen again. My buddy Kyler Phillips just beat Song. That's sweet. There's just so much sweetness going on in the division right now, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I don't feel like I'm a part of it yet. I got to get another win in there in a spectacular fashion to put myself back in the mix.
Here's Sean over here.
Yep.
Are you changing anything in the way you're doing your ankle wraps for this fight?
Last time I think I don't like sitting up here and saying, oh, excuses, but I do in the back. It was tight. My ankle wraps were tight. I had my coach, Brandon, trying to loosen it up a little bit. So I don't know if that nerve would have came back and I would have been able to have control of my foot, or if I had rolled it too many times anyway and it was just fucked. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap my ankles again. And just maybe not as tight.
Thank you.
Sean, how long after the fight did it kind of take you to feel normal in the leg again? Was it a lingering thing, or was it pretty quick?
No, it was definitely lingering. I rolled it pretty bad. Like rewatching the fight, it was like, ooh, it was hard for me to even watch it. I rolled it 4 or 5 times, real good. And they say the more you roll I've been playing basketball, football, baseball, soccer since I was 4 years old. I've rolled my ankles a bunch, and they say the more you roll your ankle, the more susceptible it is to roll it again. So, it's part of the fucking game. We're in there fighting pretty much naked, shin on shin, and just we're going at it. So, yeah.
And then you, when you came back after the layoff, like you were in there 3 times in a row real quickly, was it nice to take a step back again? And I know you had a lot going on in your life too, so there's things to do, but was it nice to not be in there 3 times in a row real quickly?
Yeah, I knew Elena was going to be born shortly after. So the first fight against Jose Quinones was a 2-year layoff, and I was excited to get back in there. I was just itching to get in there, and that was Danny's first trimester. And then we fought Eddie in her second trimester. Then we fought Cheeto in her third trimester, and then the baby was born shortly after. And it was good to take some time off. Definitely, it was my competitive itch. I was messaging the UFC. I'm like, hey, I'm ready. But, luckily, I think it's probably good. Because I think nerves take a little while to heal. I always felt fine, but I don't know what kind of damage it actually did. But I think they offered me Thomas in February, and I was like, hell yeah. And then they didn't message me for a little bit. I'm like, I messaged him back, say, what's up, what's going on? And he said, Thomas needs a little extra time. He's a little scared of you. No, they didn't say that. But they said he needed some more time, something with training. I was like, I get it. So it ended up being now, which is, I feel like, right, it's been perfect timing.
Hey, Sean, right here. I was just wondering what you thought about the whole, the Aljamain Sterling Peter Yan finish, and the foul, and then the next week there was the Muhammad eye poke. Like, I mean, is there an issue you think with referees implementing the foul rules and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the Peter Aljo fight, that was a sweet fight. Aljo came out. I think the rematch could be interesting because Aljo's not gonna come out like that. he knows now he can't go and take Peter down with ease and beat his ass. Like, that's probably kind of what he thought was going to happen, and it's not what happened. So I think, going to do a rematch, it's going to be a lot different fight. He's going to probably try to pace himself a little more because, that fight was only in the 4th round. Peter still looked, pretty fresh, and Aljo looked, gassed. So it's going to be a good fight. Both those dudes are studs. Peter's style is sweet. It's fun to watch his little Russian self walking around, hands up, throwing bombs, switching stances. The dude's high level. So I think me and Peter are going to have a sweet fight someday. I think that's a very interesting matchup. But yeah, that was a good scrap. As far as the reffing goes, I think the refs are doing a good job. I don't know. The gloves are obviously an issue. I think that could be fixed. It's pretty simple, probably with a new pair of gloves that, like Trevor Whitman, I guess. I haven't seen them, but I've heard Rogan just go on rants about how much better they are than the UFC gloves we have now. But I think refs are doing good, and then fighting, shit's going to happen no matter what, so.
Last thing from me, what's your prediction for Ben Askren versus Jake Paul?
Whoo! What is that, April 17th? I want to be there. Do they have fans? Are they having a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I think so, right?
No?
No fans?
They're only allowing 100 people. They're like,
Fuck.
I saw a press release the other day.
I mean, I think Sean O'Malley can.
Maybe if I get a win. If I lose, I'd be like, nah. That's the crazy thing about this sport. I knock out Eddie. I'm getting messages from blue check mark, blue check mark, blue check mark. I lose to Cheeto, just ghosted. No one gives a fuck about me. But that's okay. I know how I don't let those people like get me excited that they message me or whatever. So, yeah. But if I get a win, they probably let me in. If I lose, they'll be like, "Who are you?" So we'll see. But I would like to go. I want to go to that. Jake versus Ben. Who do I got? There's not a lot of fights that excite me. And this ain't going to be the best boxing fight. Like, this ain't going to be, like, a good technical boxing fight. But I'm excited. I'm excited for that fight. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be excited fight week. I'm going to watch if they have any little embeddeds or any acts. Like, whatever they're putting out, I'm watching. I want to see that fight. I don't know. Ben versus Jake. It's exciting. It's going to be a sloppy fight. Ben's going to make it sloppy, which is good for him. Jake's gonna, he's got to be. He looks like he's training hard. He's young. He's athletic. So if he doesn't beat Ben Askren, we'll see where he goes from there. He has to beat Ben. He has to beat Ben to show he's a legitimate boxer.
Gun to your head, who do you pick?
I don't know. I think, God, I want to say Jake because he's gonna be a better boxer, but Ben's such a good competitor. It's not gonna be a good boxing fight. It's gonna be a grueling. God, I hope Jake doesn't come in there and try to put his lights out in the first round, 2 rounds. He's gonna gas out, and Ben's gonna be there. Ben's gonna be there all 8 rounds. I don't think Ben's gonna gas. I think if Jake comes out calm, stays calm fight week, stays calm fight day, doesn't get too excited, just blow his load in the first couple rounds, I think he can outbox him if he stays behind his jab and doesn't let Ben do what Ben wants to do. I think Jake could get the job done.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep. Thank you, guys. That was fucking awesome having you guys actually in person. It was way better than seeing you guys over Zoom. Thank you, guys.
I mean, last time out, kind of a frustrating one for you, right? I mean, you had all the momentum in the world and all the hype behind you, and then it didn't go your way. Talk to me about the lessons you took out of that one.
I mean, like, you can only really take so much lessons from a fight that's like less than 2 minutes. It's like, I mean, I've been trying to explain that to my students and a couple other people. And like, I saw how people were like jumping on Frankie Edgar, asking him like, yo, you don't really learn anything from fights that are so fast like that. Like, I definitely made a couple of mistakes in the fight, and it's some stuff that I have to fix with. But really, it's the coin toss. It's what we do. We fight, and shit can go wrong.
Is that a hard reality to accept, right? That like you can do everything right and it still doesn't work out?
No, I mean, like, I try to tell people this all the time. Like I've had this approach my entire career. I'm like, you have no control over it. Actually, Tony Ferguson said it best, and I've kind of like been living by that for a while. He said the only thing you can control in a fight is your pace. And that's very true. The only thing you can control is how in shape you are. Everything else is a coin toss. So, I mean, like, yeah, I wish everything plans out right. I mean, like, I had an amazing camp for that fight, and I didn't do anything. Like, it was just all backwards. It happens.
Took 6 months for you to get back. It seemed to me from social media you were ready to get back a lot sooner, right? So what's been going on in these 6 months?
I've been doing my dad thing. I got kids, had cyber schools. Like, outside of fighting, we're still regular people. So I'm teaching at my gym, running my gym, helping other fighters get ready for fights and stuff, going on around, working and picking up some new skills and stuff, but training consistently. But same old.
Nice. But you did get a fight. You got the matchup with Shane Malarkey. What did you think when they gave you the name? Were you familiar with him at all? What did you think about the matchup?
I hadn't watched his second fight. I did watch his first fight. I try to watch every lightweight in the UFC. If you're a lightweight, even if you're a lightweight outside the UFC and you're looking, I'm watching you. So, I knew who he was and stuff. I knew he was tough and stuff. And then I watched his other fight. Like, oh, he's really tough. He had 2 really tough kickboxers for his first 2 UFC fights. It's a hard break. So it's a really tough division. So I'm expecting him to come out and be ready to go.
Yeah. The last week or so, we've all been speculating whether he was going to be part of this COVID thing. Were you following along with that? And what's that like for you, thinking, like, am I going to fight? Am I not going to fight?
It was horrible because, like, last week's fights, and they started announcing the cancellation, and then they announced the title fight for this card, and I was like, oh, shit. I instantly text my manager, and he was like, no, everything, they said he's good right now. He's in isolation, so everything should be good. So hopefully, fights have been getting canceled on Fridays, so hopefully we're still good to go. So I'm still cutting weight and preparing like I'm fighting.
Very nice. Last thing for me, talk to me about the goal here, man. Obviously, the goal is always to pick up a win, but like I said, I feel like you had this huge momentum behind you, man. Do you feel like you got to come in and make that splash again, like make this huge wave, or is it like, hey, let's just get in there and get a win and get back on track?
It's weird because in MMA, you're only as good as your last fight. I mean, people will watch you win 12 fights, you lose one, and then everybody will be bums making memes of you and stuff. So that's just the sport. I mean, like, you can't take it too personal. You have to know who you are and kind of understand how you approach the fight game. So for me, it's just come out here and get another W.
What's up, man? I mean, touch wood that everything goes okay and you do get the opponent you want on Saturday. Let's say they come to you on Friday and say, no, he's out. Would you even take another opponent at that point? Would you be just so desperate to fight that you just say yes? Or what do you think at that point?
Friday night?
Yeah, well, Friday morning. I'll give you Friday morning.
It depends on what freaking weight class he's going to be coming in. I mean, like, I don't really want to be fighting guys gigantic to me. I mean, I can't really jump up and I can't jump down to lightweight or featherweight. But I mean, if they came up on Friday and they're like someone new, I'm like, whatever. I mean, like, that's how I got into UFC, right? I took a fight on 4-day notice, so I can't be like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. So I'll just take it, I guess.
And this isn't really a question as much as a statement. I just want to say that's a very lovely tracksuit you're wearing today.
Oh, thank you.
What do you make of the state of the division right now? A lot going on the top. You got title fights. You got new guys coming in, kind of skipping the queue.
Yeah, it's a shit show. Like, what else is there to say about it? There's so many lightweights. Like, people keep asking me, like, are you realistic? Are you looking to get to a title run? I'm like, dude, I'm 34. I turned 35 in October. Like, the average lightweight, it's the average successful lightweight, like, going for a title run. Like, people, like, the younger guys call Tony Ferguson old. Right? They're like, yo, he's old. I'm like, so, I mean, I'm 34. I've only had 3 UFC fights. So, I mean, like, realistically approached it. It takes 40 years to get to a title in the lightweight division, as we thought it did. And then things change up. I mean, like, it's a business. So, I mean, like, I don't really have any say-so over that. I just fight whoever they put in front of me. But the lightweight division is a complete shit show. Like, the top 15 guys want to fight the top 15 guys, and them only. The guys outside of that are, like, scraping their way to get in, and no one wants to fight them, and they're saying, oh, I want to fight a numbered guy, so they just keep recycling fighters, and then you build up. There's, like, the guys from, like, 15 to 50 are all, like, serial killers who can all just jump into the top 15, but the top 15 won't give them a place. So it sucks. I mean, it's cool because the fans get great fights out of lightweights. You'll get phenomenal fights, and you don't even know who the hell these guys are. You're sitting like, who the hell is this guy? And they're fighting to death. But I mean, like, it's the way the division is.
What do you make of Michael Chandler getting one win and then getting the title? Was he the right guy to get that title shot?
So I had an interview. Someone called me. I think they posted on, I think it was BJ Penn or something. They called me and they did a little interview. I was tired. I'm cutting weight. So I'm about to leave and go fly out. And I specifically said, I was like, hey, man, I've been a big fan of Michael Chandler because I'm not going to lie. I'm a fan of martial arts, so I'm not going to be like, oh, they're in my division. I've been watching Michael Chandler since he started fighting in Bellator. And I was like, I've been a big fan of Michael Chandler's, but he just got knocked out by Patricio Pitbull, like, 2 years ago, and Patricio Pitbull's this fucking big. So I mean, like, and he's only on a 2-fight winning streak, and he's only fought once in the UFC, and he's getting a title shot. And I didn't think, it's not like I'm supposed to be getting a title shot, but there's like multiple guys. I think in the lightweight division, you should have to be on like a 5-fight winning streak to get a title shot. So I think you're kind of shitting on other people. But I said, yeah, I mean, I think I could knock Michael Chandler the fuck out. And then that was the cover for the thing. So please don't take this and switch up my words. All I'm saying is I think a lot of fighters feel cheated in this division that he just came in and got that title shot. But it's haterade that we're drinking, because if it was me, I'd be like, screw y'all, I got the title shot, I'm jumping in front of y'all. He leapfrogged everybody. It's the sport. It's whatever makes money, and it's a business, and we know that, so.
So was Charles the right opponent for him? So was Charles the other right choice?
Yes. You can go on my Instagram. Before I was in the UFC, and even as I was in the UFC, I was like, yo, Charles Oliveira is the dark horse. Like, he's a dark horse. No one wanted to fight him, and he just finally got to the right place. I mean, like, there's multiple different guys. I mean, like, there's Darnell. I mean, like, there's so many guys. There's like so many guys. There's the guy that just beat Drew Dober. He's on like a 6-fight win streak, right? I want to mess up his last name. I got a unique name.
Makachev.
Yeah, I want to mess up nobody's name because people be messing up my names. But yeah, I mean, like, there's so many guys, and then like he wins one, he like leapfrogs in front. But it's business.
Just right here to go back to your tracksuit real quick. What was it about Bruce Lee Game of Death? Those vibes that you want to bring in today?
I mean, I've been a big Bruce Lee fan. I shout out to my mom because she got me into Bruce Lee when I was younger. But I've always liked his approach to things, like his approach to fighting. Like, he was just asking me about, like, do you think about stuff? Bruce Lee said, you want to hit, you don't have to do it. It does it all on itself. And that's how I like to approach fighting and stuff. So yeah, Bruce is the man. Game of Death is the movie too. It sucks he didn't get to finish it, but those scenes at the end, I think I watched those like 1,000 times. He comes up, he fights Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's like twice his height. It's such an iconic scene, man. It's like amazing.
Game of Death over Enter the Dragon?
Yes. Even though he finished Enter the Dragon, but like that, the scene when he fights all his real friends in Game of Death, those are people that are actually his friends, and he fights them. That was iconic, man. It's amazing.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good. Awesome. Sweet.
When he calls, it's always bad news. So he told me right away I had an opponent, an opportunity, and I was happy. So it was worrisome and then happiness. And that's how I guess we all found out at the same time.
So did he basically just take this fight on your behalf? I mean, was there any discussion of like, is this the right opponent? Do we match up stylistically correct with this guy? That sort of thing.
Right. I don't know. So pretty much he told me, and I was like, yeah, I'm for it. You know, it doesn't matter. So he probably looked him up or whatnot and did his coaching, you know, little ordeal. But, I mean, at the same time, I'm like, if he would have told me, I was like, it don't matter. Let's go.
I was going to say, I mean, you're going to be in a cage with this guy in 72 hours. So, I mean, do you start researching? Do you go watch fights at this point? Do you try to?
Yeah, definitely. You got to be smart. You know, maybe I'll pick up something before the fight, so I'll watch them. See if I can pick up some tendencies. Other than that, let's go.
Nice. How frustrating overall has this whole stretch been, though, for you? I mean, I feel like COVID has impacted you quite a bit. You know, fights keep getting moved and dates and scheduled, and I mean, it seems like every fight you've had has been moved, right? So, I mean, how difficult has this stretch been for you?
Oh man, COVID has been awful on me. 2020, and then the moving of the fights right after surgery. I had 2019. And the shutdowns or whatnot. Hey man, I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah. Has it been a mental check at all? I mean, you think of all the momentum you had coming into 2020, right? And then it's all been kind of shot. I think people still see skills in you, of course, but you got to pick all that back up. Has it been kind of a mental check for you at all?
Yeah, it's been a mental check, and I checked it. So I'm ready to show them. Let's go.
Very nice.
Right on.
Last thing for me, talk to me about the goal here. I mean, obviously you want to get a win, get back in the win column, but do you want to make like a statement? I mean, I've mentioned all that hype that I think you had around you. I think of you as a pretty low-key guy. I don't even know if you care about hype, but do you want to go out there and generate momentum again, or is it just let's get a win and get that second paycheck?
No, I want to generate, momentum, but I never like hype. I want to be known for skill. So with that said, I feel like I'm a complete MMA fighter. So I dropped the ball, and, I won some great fights. So now I'm complete, and my mind is like, let's go. I'm ready, complete MMA fighter. Right on.
Alonzo right here. The change from opponents, obviously, outside of their skill sets, it's orthodox to southpaw. Does that cause any issues with preparation at all?
No, not at all. I mean, his reach, pretty much the same as mine, so a little shorter. So with that said, it'll be okay. Yeah. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Jamie, give us an idea what the last week or so has been like for you. I mean, obviously we've seen everything that's happened, and I think we were worried whether we were going to get to see you compete here or not. So what's this been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. It's a little bit bittersweet, you know. Me and Alex Volkanovski trained really hard for this fight, coming over here together, and to see him get his shot taken away like that, it sucks. I'm just thanking my lucky stars that it wasn't me, and that I'm still able to compete this weekend.
You guys had to go through like some additional, I guess, steps to get to this point, right? I mean, did you do anything that impacted your training or your final preparation, whether it be physically or mentally?
Not really, no. Like in this, we're very lucky over in Australia. As far as COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're real lucky over where I'm from. We've got it pretty down pat, and everything was as normal. We were just training like a normal training camp.
Good stuff. Well, the UFC run I know hasn't exactly gone as you would have liked it to be so far. But so what kind of lessons have you taken? Where do you stand on kind of the difficult fights that you've been through?
Yeah, it's all a part of the journey, man. And I'm definitely not leaving this to the judges anymore. I never do. I never like to leave it to the judges. But that last fight, it's left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm a little bit more hungry for the finish.
Yeah, nevertheless, I think you're in a kind of a featured position here in this bout. Does that mean something to you that they still trust you to put you in a spot like that?
Yeah, well, I think they know. I think everyone knows I won that last fight, and I'm a gamer. Like I'm coming to fight, so it's gonna show this weekend.
Nice. What do you think about the matchup when they gave you the name? Was it one that you anticipated all, expected, that you knew much about?
No, I didn't expect it or anticipate it, but I'm very excited about it. I think it's a good stylistic matchup for me. One, and like I said before, Commonwealthy comes to fight, and they're the guys that I want to fight.
Yeah. Last thing for me, I just kind of wonder what the goal is here, because you've been in some great fights, but is a great fight worth it if you don't get your hand raised? I mean, would you rather go out there and just have a boring fight, but you get the win? What's most important here?
The win's the most important thing on my mind right now. But if I can do it in an exciting fashion, even better.
Jamie, right here. Kama has a lot of knockout wins, but he also has some pretty impressive submission wins his last few fights. Is there any? Do you see any of his strengths that I think that maybe even pundits and fans don't really notice, but you as a fighter notice from watching him on tape?
Yeah, I notice everything. Like he's a well-rounded fighter, and we're ready for everything.
Thank you.
Hey guys.
Hey, Tyron, welcome back, man. Obviously, last time we saw you, you were in a heck of a lot of pain, man. It was tough to see you like that. So, what exactly did it end up being, and what was that recovery process like for you?
I popped 2 pieces of cartilage underneath my bone. I think I may have popped it a little bit earlier in the fight, and just to try to breathe was very hard. And then put myself in a situation where I was on the mat, and I try to grab a guillotine so I can try to get my heels to my butt so I can try to get up to my feet. And when I did that, it popped again. So really, I stayed here another 2 or 3 days just because it was too tough to breathe and move around. Stayed in Vegas, and then it's really nothing you can really do besides just endure the pain and just be comfortable and take pain meds and stay off of it and just, ice it. So it took several months for me to get back to normal, but I'm ready to roll now.
Yeah, so I was actually a little bit surprised. Like, I thought the turnaround was kind of fast. I mean, was that like a goal for you that, like, hey, I got to get back in there, or did you just go, well, they offered, and I'm kind of feeling all right?
I really didn't think about the time frame. Contrary to a lot of people believe, I like to be active. When I was champion, I had, me and John Jones, the only one that had defended the belt 4 times in a year. So I like to fight, and once my body started feeling better, it was better for me to deal with, the fights that happened before than just to crawl up on a rock. So I think a champion really comes back and show you guys what he's made of.
Let's say, I mean, the veteran that you are and everything that you've accomplished, and you got other things going on, I mean, when you go through pain like that just completely immobilizes you, does that start making you think a little bit like, man, is it worth going out there and doing this stuff anymore?
It's always worth it. I mean, that half a millisecond of, I won, nobody can screw me on a scorecard, or you knock the person out, or you get a phenomenal performance, it's crazy enough, but that's what we do it for. We get back in there over and over again for that chance that we get that one moment. And for me, I got another gear, I got another level I can actually reach. The tools and the skill sets I possess, I haven't always shown it. And when I fought Darren Till, that's probably the closest to one of the most perfect fights I've had. And I just want to try to do better than that. So for me, it's a part of the game. It's a part of the journey. I didn't understand it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, the way things went down. But at the end of the day, I just got to quit questioning God and just go out there and do my thing.
Yeah. So obviously, everybody's talking about the losses that you've had to deal with. We're talking about literally number 1, 2, and 3 in the world. You're not getting finished. You know what I mean? So what do you take out of those? I mean, you're talking about it's the process, right? I mean, do you look at the results, or do you look at how you performed, and what do you take out of that? I mean, you're literally fighting the absolute best in the world.
I was in L.A. for a bulk of the training camp, and I was working with Antonio McKee, and I was staying with my buddy Lynn Oding. He's a director for Cobra Kai, the #1 fan on Netflix. And he was just telling me, he said, one thing that a director told me, he said, be performance-centric, because you can really control your performance. And I just know that with me performing to the level that I can perform, everything else is going to pan itself out. I'm not going to have to worry about winning the losses. I'm not going to have to worry about bonuses and big fights. And I think I was focused so heavily on proving people wrong so many times in my career that it took away from focusing on proving people right. I got 20 or 30 people I got to prove right: coaches, loved ones, kids, training partners, people that really support me from the beginning. It's millions of people you got to try to prove wrong. So for me, just really focusing and really just understanding that life is not always a straight path. It can be, but we make choices, and I made choices in my life that kind of veered me off that path, and those are things I have to deal with. And quitting is not an option. I got to go out on top like I plan to do. And the way I saw myself in the beginning of the sport, that's not the way. It wasn't losing to these guys, and though they were, the champion, 1 and 2, but on paper, I'm a better fighter than all of them.
So there have been times in your career where it feels like you're fighting with a chip on your shoulder, fighting angry. Do you feel like in retrospect that was the wrong approach?
It worked for those moments, but I didn't need to. I should have just been fighting because I was the best. I should have been fighting to prove that everything that we worked on, everything that we did made sense. And it did. It always made sense. I never ever went into a fight not prepared, not in shape, not ready, not trained, not cautious and conscious of everything that my opponent could or could not do. So with that said, there's nothing I've ever been surprised with in there. You know what I mean? Never. And for me, focusing on just the performance alone would have solved so many different problems. Sometimes you may have seen a little bit more rah-rah out of me, but that should have came out anyway. Nobody should have to make me mad. Nobody should have to say I couldn't do something for me to do that when I know I already can.
Do you have the role planned out for Cobra Kai? You're going to get on there, right?
For sure. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do, but yeah, I'm on there somewhere.
I dig it. Talk about Vicente Luque. I mean, you were the guy who was. I just wonder if he's on your radar. 'Cause, like, for the longest time, people came to you, right? You didn't have to watch out for the division; they're coming to you. So, was this somebody you were watching at all and thinking, "Oh, but we're going to cross paths at some point"?
You know, I always watch these guys, and they still are coming for me. Even like think about the old rubric of the sport. Someone off of a loss usually fights somebody off of a loss. Not in my circumstance. You know, I can lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 fights in a row, and I'm still the 5-time world champion that was maybe right underneath Georges St. Pierre for being the best that ever did it, and fighting trying to be the best. So for me, it's just like I was always Usman's biggest fight. I was Gilbert's biggest fight. I was Kobe's biggest fight. But before then, Darren Till was my biggest fight. Robert Lawler was my biggest fight. Carlos Condit was my biggest fight. Koscheck was my biggest fight. And I needed to think of those guys in that way, and I didn't. So Luque, for me, I think very heavy-handed, great in brawling, very tough chin, durable, good conditioning. He's finished so many fights in the final seconds, you can't ever count him out. And he's my biggest fight.
Yeah. And to be fair, he was here earlier and said this is his biggest fight, you know, fighting a former champion. So last thing for me, you said wanting to go out on top, man. Is that the drive right now? Like what gets you into the gym every day? What gets you to still – because I know it takes a lot of sacrifice and discipline to perform at this level. So what drives you at this point?
Performance. I just see myself controlling the variables that I can control. And I've trained. I put my body through the fire. I'm ready to go. And just performing. Like, I don't even know how I can say it in any different way. I'm trying to draw some more fancier $50 words for you, but that's all it really boils down to is performing. And I do that against him. And I just focus on who's in front of me. Every fight is the biggest fight, and then after that, it's the next biggest fight in performance. And if I can do that, I think I'll be fine.
Tyron, you mentioned the Darren Till performance and how it was nearly perfect. Does that performance and then going from that to the next 3 fights make it harder to understand why the things aren't going your way in the cage? Because you went from a perfect performance to less than stellar ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's always confusing because you've been at the top for so long. You've been out the red corner for so long, and I told myself my last loss is my last loss. You can tell yourself anything you want, but if you don't go out there and exercise your free will, you know, things can happen in the octagon. These guys were training while I was recovering from injuries. You got to recognize that very few fights did I not come out with either a surgery requiring injury or going into a fight with an injury. And that's just the fight style I fight. When I fought Damian Maia, I tore my labrum on the first punch. I was trying to take his head off. You know, it closed his eye. But I shattered my labrum on the first punch. Same thing with Kelvin Gastelum. Same thing with Darren Till. I tore my CMC joint trying to crack his nugget open. And I think when you fighting to that style where you're just trying to put that kind of demolition, you know, and that kind of violence in a performance, you're going to get injured. And I fought through those fights, and many of them I won. And in between me recovering, my opponents and my adversaries, they were training. They were getting better, and they were watching film, and they were, you know, with their team. And the time I took breaks, there's also seeds I planted. You know, you got to recognize that when you're at the top, you got a lot of opportunity, a lot of exposure. You got a lot of VIP, a lot of party, a lot of things you can get into. And I got into the lifestyle for a while. And, you know, I think karma's real, and I think you got to pay the piper at the end of the day. So I just believe that those last thorn bushes are gone. I feel like I've done things now. I've done things even in those last 3 fights when I trained my ass off. I was so ready. I was prepared, and I just didn't understand. And everything that I did to get to the top wasn't the training camp that I was in. It was the years and years before that put me in that position. So now I feel like I've paid it forward.
You still have time to turn things around, but the story of a fighter getting to the top and then getting into the lifestyle, like you said, we've seen it time and time again. Do you think that's something you'll regret after this all done?
No, because I'm here. It didn't kill me. It didn't take me away. It didn't decapitate me from the sport. And I think the story's better. The story's better when someone comes back. The story's better when somebody didn't quit, you know. And you know, I'm 38 years old. I'll be 39 in a couple of days, and I'm still on top. I'm still fast. I'm still explosive. I'm still probably the best mind in our division as far as IQ and knowing what's going on. Like even when I wasn't doing, you still can look in my eyes and know that I can see stuff. Why is he taking it? He can avoid that. You know what I mean? I'm still there. So for me, I don't regret it because I think everything is a part of the story. Everything is a part of the life. And like my mom said, you can't undo done. It's done. So what am I going to harp on it?
That's cool saying. We've seen it before as well with fighters. They have a bad run of form, and then it's almost like they feel they have to make a drastic change to get things back on track. Did you ever feel like, I might just move to middleweight, or I have to walk away for a couple of years? Or did you think of any drastic changes, or did you think, no, I just need to stay on the path that I've carved already?
My lifestyle was already drastic. I already trained drastic. I don't know how much more I could have taken on my body anyway. So I just needed to focus on my mindset and being willing to put yourself into the fire, not wanting to play, okay, I'm going to go out here, hopefully I get this quick knockout. Or this person's good, but they're not anywhere near as the other guys I've competed against. Or just really just being okay with the worst case scenarios. I can be hurt, I can be losing, I can be down on the card, so I still got to find a way to win. I can be winning, and somebody can come back and clip me with a shot, and I got to keep it together. Or it can be a barn burner, and it may be one punch or one combination or one takedown or one escape or one get back up from the ground that solidifies the win. You got to be okay with all of that. You got to be okay with that. You go out there and you perform your ass off, and a judge didn't see it your way. If you're okay with all those different outcomes, what are you scared of? So I don't really need to do anything more. I mean, I've trained with Antonio McKee years and years back. One, shit's hard. Nobody want to just willingly, openly just walk in there and do the shit. So for me, I had to take myself out of position where I can call the shots. And that wasn't just with McKee, but that was with Dean. That was with Eric Brown. Everybody, no, we going again. No, another round. No, you going 8 today. We're not doing 6. Push your head back, breathe, move forward, hands up. You know what I mean? And just the training partners. My training partner that's in here somewhere, he was screaming out, we're going to suffer together, we're going to die together. I kept saying, he said it for weeks. I said, hold on, man, we ain't finna die. Hold on, I get it, we ain't finna fucking die in this motherfucker. But I know what he meant. He meant die to the spirit so you can live die to the flesh so you can live in the spirit, so you can freely go, because it's really spiritual out there. No matter what you believe in, when your body is done and you know you really physically shouldn't be able to do more, your spirit kind of takes over. Adrenaline, you go on autopilot. But if you don't do it in the practice room and you don't push yourself through it in the practice room, you're not going to do it in a fight. So.
Last thing for me, it's not a particularly pleasant question, but over the past few months we've seen names like Overeem, Dos Santos, Romero been let go from their contract at the UFC. Is there any concerns that after this fight that could happen to you?
Could have got let go before this. Could have got let go after Gilbert. Could have got let go after Usman. Could have got let go after Till. It's not up to me. It's up to the organization. And I'm grateful that I got another chance to go out there and show myself. And in doing so, you guys get a chance to watch as well what I am, how great I am. So I can't think about that. I'm thankful and I'm grateful. And sometimes in the past, I had to recognize that I didn't run the organization. And whether I thought they should have promoted me a certain way, I did certain things. They got 600 athletes to think about. It wasn't always about me. And I may have figured that out a little too late in the game, but at the time, I never really trusted a lot of people. Like, I grew up in the street. I grew up gangbanging, and, it's trust and respect is earned, and I don't trust. My head's always on the swivel. I'm always looking around and making sure my surroundings are good. I live in the murder capital of the fucking country. I got to move a certain way, so I connect dots, and I put things together, and I'm thinking this is what the intent is, and then I always want to prove it wrong, so... if I could look back, maybe I would have just focused more on performance and the things I can't control. I can't control what's behind the scenes. So to answer your question, that's not even in my mind right now.
Thanks, Tyron.
Simon, right here. We spoke with Vicente earlier today, and he said he remembers his first interaction with you when you were backstage at UFC 205. You complimented his wrestling boots, and he said after that it was a really important moment to him because at the time you were the champ of his division. He was like, "Oh, the champion likes my shoes." Do you remember that interaction at all? First meeting with Vicente?
I remember before that. I remember the Ultimate Fighter show. I remember him fighting Graves. I remember him. I think he only lost one fight on the show. I remember, him always being the guy that was put out there to fight, but never got a lot of the credit. Usman got a lot of credit for the show, but Vicente was fighting a lot of those fights. So I never let these up-and-coming guys catch me by surprise. So my eyes been on him for a long time. He had a great fight against Nico Price. He had a great fight against even Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy did what he did best in the second and third round, which is to, evolve and shift. But he still was in the fight. He never stopped trying to walk him down. So I appreciate that, and I definitely respect Vicente. I've always have, and I know he's coming after me, and I sense that, and I feel it, and I welcome the smoke.
Do you still think he's in that position where he doesn't really get the respect that you know how good he is, but maybe his ranking isn't indicative to his skill set or something? Do you still think he's like
I'm
that?
not fighting a number. I'm fighting an opponent. So the real ones and the true people that study the sport and the real fighters, they would think I would be an idiot to really underrate this young man, especially someone that's continually getting better and better and better and punching harder and harder and harder and finding ways to just. He has a really good rubric. Watching film and breaking them down, he's kind of sneaky on the way he sets the fight up. He's puts you in bad position. He kind of backs you in a corner where you're forced to go to one place where he does really well. And a lot of people don't recognize that because he doesn't talk a lot about it. He don't talk a lot in general, and he just kind of goes out there and do it. And I used to be like that. I let people think that I was just this athlete and I just had a one big right hand. And for years, I just allowed that to happen on purpose because they really underrated my mind and how high of a fight IQ I had. So by the time they figured out what I was doing, it was too late.
And finally, you mentioned yourself, you were a champion, you defended your title 4 times, and you liked to be active. But if you look at the top 5 of this division, none of them have fought each other outside of the champion. So as someone that used to sit atop this division, is it frustrating at all to see that no one in the 1 through 5 seem willing to fight? They're all kind of calling for the title, not willing to be matched up.
I can't focus on that. I gotta focus on my legacy. I gotta get it back in order, get it back on track. So, to be real honest, I haven't really watched a lot of it.
Hey, Tyron over here. Right here. Tyron, at this stage of your career, how do you measure growth in your game? Because obviously after all the big fights and where you're at, you're not about to drastically change your style to look completely different. So how do you measure that growth?
How do you know that?
Or I don't know, are you about to be throwing a lot of head kicks, flying knees, looking like Adesanya?
I mean, the good thing about it is you get a chance to watch on Saturday.
Thank you.
I can tell you anything. I can go out there and throw a million punches and slam him on his head and break his neck, and I can go out there and watch paint dry again. So I'm just not really into telling you guys what I'm going to do. I'd rather just show you on Saturday.
Tyron, you mentioned losing the chip on your shoulder. What was the moment or the catalyst that kind of...
I never said that. I never said I lost a chip on my shoulder. I said I redirected it. I'm not out to prove people wrong. I'm out to prove my people right. There's still a chip there because my kids are watching me. They see me win big. They see me lose big. They see me at the top of the top, and they see me drop down. They see people say shit about me. And one thing they've never seen me do is quit. So the chip is very much still there. It's just a different one. Gucci.
Thank you.